What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So I was having a conversation with a friend, and in that conversation, they just seriously asked me and said, "Are you ready for Wednesday?" And I thought to myself, what's happening on Wednesday? And he said, well, God of War Ragnarok comes out on Wednesday. And I was like, oh, I forgot, because this is a game that I'm looking forward to. Now, the crazy thing about this is I went ahead and asked and said, so are you going to be playing on a PS5? And they were like, no, they have a PS4. Whereas someone else in their household does have a PlayStation 5. And I was like, well, I would recommend that if anybody wanted to, if they wanted to go ahead and buy a copy, they should buy the copy that has a PS5, PS4 version, so that one person can play on a PS5 and the other on a PS4, so that it doesn't be a thing where you're waiting for somebody else to beat the game. And they were like, oh, that's pretty cool. And it got me to thinking, and I wanted to go ahead and provide a thought-provoking video, especially in today's day and age. Because I know a lot of people might say things like, video games should run at a specific performance, all of this stuff. And I really wanted to go ahead and see if we could actually take a very close look at this notion, because 60 FPS conversations only came about on console after, just maybe even 24 months ago. It's not even been that long. And we went through some really interesting challenges that really shook the gaming world overall. I thought to myself and said, what is this conversation about the 60 FPS, and has that ever affected the enjoyment of a game for most gamers? The answer to that is actually very simple. The answer to that is actually a big heck no, because a lot of games that have actually been enjoyable have not necessarily played at 60 FPS for everyone. Because if you kind of consider or think about it, if you maybe want to judge a game by winning game of the year status, or maybe if you want to judge a game by saying, okay, its own, popularity is probably, something to consider, I submit to you that those who are going to play God of War Ragnarok on the PlayStation 4 are going to enjoy it or not enjoy, depending on the player's own preference, as much as those who are actually going to be playing the game on the PlayStation 5. And they're also going to be the people who play it on PC at better performances, 4K, all of the others, and they're going to enjoy it just as much, unless they're playing for the second time. But if it's going to be their first time, you're going to have similar amounts of enjoyment in the experience overall. So it's really interesting to see how Ragnarok is going to come out at a 30 FPS version, at a 60 FPS version, at a 120 FPS version, depending on your machine. And the enjoyment of the game is not going to be stifled or muffled by whatever machine you're playing the game on. Rather, it's going to be based on how the game appeals to you. Now, let's also go ahead and look at a few items as well. Some things are very pertinent in this conversation, and I really wanted to point a lot of them out. Because, this 60 FPS thing is kind of funny to me, because I remember enjoying a bunch of games at 30 FPS. Now, don't get me wrong, 60 FPS is a good upgrade. It's a step up. I remember after playing 60 FPS, it was hard for me to go back to playing anything at 30 FPS. But we must also say that this is a new concept. And for us to act like, sometimes anyways, that we are now used to this new advancement, or we should expect this every time, is highly unrealistic. And I'll talk about different limitations as well. And we're going to go ahead and look at the different, factors involved. So the Video Game Awards, they posted their list of previous Game of the Year winners. Some people value the Game of the Year list and, the award. I don't care, because most of the games on there, I've never cared. I mean, you see Overwatch in 2016. Lord, what happened that year? Anyways, 2014 Dragon Age Inquisition. The game, I've played it at 60 FPS. I thought it was a very decent game for the amount of the game I was able to play. There was just no time. I enjoyed the, few hours I played of the game, but most people played the game at 30 FPS. The Witcher 3. Witcher 3, I could not stand the game, and I only played it at 60 FPS. Never played a 30 FPS version of the game. It's on I have it on the Good Old Game Store. I bought it when it was on sale. I played a few hours. I even tried to make some videos over it, but I just stopped short because I was like, man, I've heard a lot about this game, but for some reason the game never appealed to me. So a 60 FPS game, though, didn't have anything to do with my enjoyment of the game. Overwatch, 60 FPS, couldn't even play more than like 30 minutes, and I was like, man, I'm going to have motion sickness. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Got the game for my kids, try to play a little bit of it on their Switch just to kind of maybe teach and show them. Can't stand the game. Game does not appeal to me. Ragnarok, played on PlayStation 4, 30 FPS game, enjoyable. Even went ahead and got a PC version of the game just so that I could say, yes, I've played it on multiple platforms and this is how I want to enjoy the game. That's my little boy yelling over there. Forgive the noise. Sekiro, I got it on the Xbox. I played a little bit of it, but from soft games are very hard to play. They're not Elden Ring games, all of them. Some of them you actually have to get the work done and you have to go actually and get better. So I'm stuck in a spot where I have to fight all these hard bosses. I have to deal with all these obstacles. And so the game is kicking my butt, but I do like it, But again, my first experience was on the Xbox Series X. So I don't know, maybe I'm playing at 60 FPS. I tried to buy on PC, but couldn't get a good price at that time. Last of Us Part 2, I haven't played. A lot of people have claimed that the performance of this game is absolutely phenomenal. But I like the first one. The first one, I played that on the PlayStation 4. Amazing, phenomenal game. Some people told me to stay away from this game because the story and all of the above. Now, I haven't played it for myself to be able to judge in terms of gameplay mechanics, but from what I've seen, I see gameplay mechanics as an advancement from the very first game that was released, number one. And number two, I can also tell you that the story is probably something that could deter a lot of people. Regardless of the frame rate, it didn't appeal to a lot of its own audience and community. So 30 FPS has never really been a factor that would judge a game. And this is a very unpopular statement, but I'm a small YouTuber, so you can come in here and you can rag on me or whatever it is. It doesn't bother me. I can say the most unpopular things, and I'm not afraid to step on toes. If I'm wrong, let me know that I'm wrong. Give me evidence and give me concrete reasonings that I'm wrong. I want to learn as well. But I'm going to say something at the risk of sounding ignorant. That, for people who are shouting and claiming that 30 FPS is some kind of a deal breaker, you are lying to yourselves. Because the evidence does not support this claim. Yes, it is an advancement over, 60 FPS is an advancement over 30 FPS. There is no doubt about that. Honestly, 120 FPS is even nice. I play God of War on 120 FPS. I play from 30 FPS. I moved to 60 FPS. Now I'm doing 120 FPS. It's wonderful. But I can tell you that the very first time I played and beat the game was on 30 FPS. And the second time I played and beat the game was also at the 30 FPS mark as well. Or maybe a little bit more than 30 FPS. I think I played it afterwards on PlayStation 4 Pro. So this game, Ragnarök, is going to be, in my opinion, appealing to those whom it will appeal to. And frame rates and performance is not really going to be a big factor in the overall equation. And this is what the evidence is showing us. This is exactly what gaming has kind of mostly been about. But advancements in technology are coming full circle. Another really interesting conversation that, we also need to put out here is, of 3 games that have been released in this timeline, we've gotten to see games like A Plague Tale Requiem, and we also got to see Bayonetta, these 3 games, and Gotham Knights as well, come out on the console or their console respectively at 30 FPS. This has not changed, nor has it bothered or in a sense affected the enjoyment of the people who have played it. People who play A Plague Tale on console, they'll tell you that the game was enjoyable to them. I just haven't had time to play the game. They'll tell you that even if the game was, running at whatever FPS it was running on, if they played it on PC, they would have still enjoyed it nonetheless. But this is also something that is quite subjective as well. Now, if you've been a PC gamer for the longest time and you've been playing PC games at, 60 FPS or whatever, but I don't know many longtime PC players that have been playing games at 60 FPS. Many of them also started playing PC games at lower frame rates. I remember playing Dead to Rights on a PC. That was the first PC game I ever owned and played. I remember very clearly that was a very fun game. I don't even know what the frame rates were at that time. Who cared? Game was just about the game and delightful in a sense regarding the mechanics. So I really want to see how the PlayStation 4 version of this game is going to get scored, how it's going to get looked at, how it's going to get judged. And we're going to compare notes and see how other games will probably have been treated. And you're going to see the biggest thing that I usually say, which is gamers, we pick and choose. Games that we don't like, sometimes gamers are going to rag on them. It's just what we do. Games that we do like, we're going to go ahead and give the benefit of the doubt over time. I give the benefit of the doubt all the time. I'm a normal human being. I'm not sitting here saying, everything has to be a specific way for me. No way. I just try my best not to pretend, because if I pretend, I'm only fooling myself. So I'm looking forward to Ragnarök. Hopefully, I'll be playing on the PlayStation 5, playing at 60 FPS, which is what they're saying that, the game is going to be running at. If I can get the, more than 60 FPS, I'll go for performance. I really want to play the game at whatever, performance I can get my hands on. Resolution is not really a big deal so far for me anyways. But I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. If you're playing on PS4, I really want to hear your thoughts, because I'm sure you're really excited about this game, even more than people who have the current gen consoles, because you're happy that you're able to get it even in this whole, market and this entire conversation where everyone is talking more now these days about, the last gen consoles are going to be holding everything back. Games are getting more and more ambitious. This is something that must be valued and something that must be considered in the conversation. And if you don't want to have slow loading games, yes, I can see how that's a thing. But these considerations also need to be put in perspective as well, that there are people who are, owners of these older consoles that would still be happy to play video games. So if the gaming or whatever it is held back by the PlayStation 4, or some people wrongly have attributed the Xbox Series S or the Xbox 3, Xbox One or whatever, then so be it. As long as more people can play and enjoy a video game, to me, that's always a win. I'll get out of your hair, man. Thanks so much for watching the video. I really appreciate you guys' time and audience, and hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.